How long have you been doing drag?
Since like just past Easter weekend.
No fucking way!
I think that the very first time I ever got into drag was last year.
So we're talking like 6 months or so.
Yeah, but I started doing it like on the regular.
Okay, when was the first time it occurred to you to do drag? When you hadn't done it yet? When that moment was like, well, you know...
Is this the first time I put on women's clothing? Because that would be at like 4.
Yeah.
I would say, I think the reason that I had so many female friends in elementary school is I was the only boy who wanted to play dress up. But that's all I wanted to do.
Just the dress up part, not the doctor.
Jessica Foster, I'm sorry, I only wanted you for your mom's hand-me-down shoes. I'm sorry.
Well, when you went into drag for the first time, was it kind of like, just like all of a sudden, yeah, this is me?
Oh, but you
or
know,
is it art,
my first time in drag in the city, which is the first time that I kind of developed the Scarlett Letters persona. This is actually the dress I wore the first time I went out, and it was to Bar de Go, which is a French electropop music night.
Yeah.
And you know, I was like, it was like my first weekend in the city. Like I'd never lived here before, but you know, like I put on the dress and the makeup and the wig, and I was like, this looks pretty good. And then, you know, like straight guys hit on me for the whole night. And
was that exciting?
Well, you know...
Or annoying?
It was both.
Yeah.
I think because it's nice to know that you can attract attention, but then after a while you're like, oh my god, you're stupid, like leave me alone, please.
Right.
I know, that's the problem with being a woman.
I mean, you find out what true attention means. And that's
I know.
Always the most
and as it
flattering
turns
thing.
out, being an attractive woman is awful.
Right. Well, there you go. So are you ugly girls? See, it ain't so bad.
I mean, it must be fun just feeling the power and feeling sexy. Is that part of it?
Well, you know, that's a little bit kind of like my style, like my development and like my look and my act, my shtick is kind of influenced by the idea of male gaze, which is a feminist film theory that says
exactly the gaze, which is the power of the
well,
phallus.
it says because, you know, heterosexual men in society are the ones who have the most power.
Yes.
That most forms of media come to reflect the desires of those people. And there's a bit of Scarlett Letters is the straight man wish fulfillment fantasy, which is an elaborately made up, fresh, young, like, fuckable girl who, like, is perfectly willing to, like, stick her tits out and, like, you know, bat her eyelashes. And so, you know, when I do stuff like, you know, start bleeding from the eyes or rip my wig off and eat a cow heart on stage, it's, you know, it's like a good, like, 1-2 punch.
Oh, yeah.
God, you're just
I like
getting started.
I like Queens with Edge.
I like this new queen energy. You got a lot of things up your sleeve.
I see that what, you know, one of the reasons I love San Francisco, and one of the reasons I decided to start doing drag in San Francisco is that there's so many different kinds of queens and so many different kinds of queens. It's like you can't go to a drag show and not be inspired.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't
I agree.
but you know, I think that you can be, you know, cute and bleed from the eyes.
That's true. It's all the style of it, and you know, for a long time it was always about looking like a lady, passing as a lady. When I grew up in Texas, you would go to these shows, and I always waited for that one crazy one to show up that was doing all crazy stuff with blood or do whatever,
And
because
see,
you had so many, like, you know, Whitney Houstons and Diana Rosses.
I'm not satisfied to settle because I want to be glamorous and crazy.
And you can.
And
like
I am.
Sharon Needles, she's doing it. She's being glamorous. I know.
Do you do it? Do you do it at home, like alone, or you only do it to go out?
No, the only time I'm in drag at home is when I have to, like, you know, if I have to do like a costume change in a number, that'll be me with hairy legs and heels in my living room, trying to like take a you know, sundress off in the middle of the day, or if I have to, you know, try to figure out how the wig is.
Totally.
You know, that's just me with a beard grown in my living room, kind of, you know, twirling to a Diana Ross song.
Well, I think we've all done that at some point.
Well, when you got started, was it a compulsion to do it, or was it really an artistic expression?
You know, I started in drag out of, well, I'll say, I started in musical theater, which I always have loved and still love. But I moved from there to dance because the thing I liked about musical theater was in dance, and I also didn't have to sing, which I didn't like about being in theater. And then after that, the logical conclusion was to be a drag queen because then I don't have to sing at all, I can just lip sync.
There you go.
But, you know, people asked me for years and years, they're like, yo, have you ever done drag? You should do drag. And I ended up doing a play, cabaret, where I got dressed up in lady clothes and high heels, and everyone said how great I looked. So I knew I kind of had that, like, in my back pocket.
Right.
And then after moving to San Francisco, I went and saw a couple of the shows, and I'm like, well, that settles it.
Yeah.
Well, because there's a certain amount of amazing creativity. I mean, the one thing that you learned with San Francisco drag is that you, for a small price, can comment on sexuality,
Really?
politics.
The amount of, I think, in San Francisco more than anywhere else I've ever seen a drag show, like, you get more quality entertainment here for your dollar.
And some,
like,
some stuff you'll never understand.
It's like
More variety.
I'm never,
Right.
you know, I'm never bored. There's
Never
always
bored, no.
always something I can talk about the next day.
Right.
Yeah, it's like when I came here and I started doing drag or trans in my case, it was amazing. And then I thought if I went to Las Vegas, that would be the mecca.
No.
But it's
No.
not. It's so
No, they all
conservative there.
lookalikes. All
It's
the
all
fishy
lookalikes.
ladies.
Yeah.
Here you really get the
It's
spectrum,
illusion.
you know?
It's all feminine illusion.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's right. And so
The female impersonator.
well, it's almost like imagine like a hierarchy, like they say that in biology there's a plant kingdom and the animal kingdom kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here it seems to be there's the trans women and then the drag queens. They're very different.
It's true.
right, and you're a drag queen. Is that
Well,
right? Or
I
are you
am
somewhere in the middle. I'm in
No,
the middle.
I am super total drag queen at the end of the day. The nice thing I like about being a drag queen is that at the end of the day I get to take the makeup off and let my pores breathe. You know?
Yeah.
No one expects me to keep the face on full time.
And you don't want to keep the face on full.
No, I don't. I quite enjoy being a young man, especially in San Francisco. But also I think doing drag has made me much more sensitive to sort of women's issues and the ways that women, and especially trans women, are treated, not just by society at large, but also by other members of the gay community.
Oh, sure.
I've seen and heard some things that have really appalled me. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like, just, I feel like some of the earliest supporters of the early, like Martha P. Washington was, like, the penultimate early rights, like, for gays pioneer, and it's like, she was a trans woman. Like, what about these societies seem unconnected to the two people is kind of my thought on that. But
Wow.
I'm for all inclusion, all girls, all the time, even if you're actually a boy or actually a girl.
Oh.
Let's just kick it. Let's kick
Keep
it.
it going.
Let's kick it and smash the patriarchy.
I go by the secret.
Yeah. One second. Do you see yourself doing this like for a long time, or is this a thing you're going through?
Well, you know, it depends. If I could find... I didn't expect starting to have been received quite so warmly. You know, I thought that I would, you know, put my head down and pay my dues and try to, like, slough my way,
Right.
you know, upwards. But I've gotten a lot of really good feedback from people.
Well, you started at Meow Mix, which is a very accepting environment, too.
Well, yeah,
Very
that,
creative.
yeah.
exactly. You know, I you know, I've done a couple of different shows all around, but it's just mostly all the feedback I've gotten has been overwhelmingly positive.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's nice to feel like you're finally good at something. Like,
Well, you're
like,
fantastic at it.
well, you know,
Yeah.
when you're only mediocre at almost everything else you do in your life up to that point, like when you find
Caffeine.
when you find something that you really are good at, you're like, okay, like let's
do
jump
it.
on
Do
that.
it.
Let's do it.
Totally.
You know, and if this is something I could turn into a career, like I would happily do drag for the next 40 years.
Well,
like
if
I think
Like
like
Maria's done.
And we'd all be well, and then you could slip over. You know, one of my favorite jokes is what's the difference between a drag queen and a transsexual?
the gaff.
No, 2 years.
Oh, I thought it was
$40,000.
$40,000.
Little bit of silicone.
Yeah, but you know, I don't want to embarrass you or anything, but I think of you as a girl. You're like a woman to me.
Well, see, a lot of people say that, but most people who know me as Scarlett Letters have only ever seen me after about 5.5 hours of prep time.
Right.
Because it takes.
If I saw you at a board, I'd be like, no!
You probably would be.
I'd be like, no.
You wouldn't even notice. You
Shadow
know,
my
after the
dreams.
like,
drag
who's that
bus,
punk?
after the drag bus, somebody wrote me, and he shall remain nameless, and made said, "Are you sure Scarlett Letters is not a girl?"
I
Don't show us.
It's
Show it.
it's a cutlet.
See,
That's
see, sorry, dude.
it's.
It's a
The
guy.
fantasy is all gone.
I'm not gonna leave the wig on while we do it.
So tell me, who would you say is like your hero, or the person that's inspired you the most in like your look, your style?
I'm really inspired a lot by other drag queens. You know, I feel like I'm less concerned with celebrities like in People magazine and more
Right,
like the
of
celebrities of my scene.
This is like movie stars, or
You know, I'm into Betty Page in a big way.
Oh, that's good.
Like I'm into like Betty. I'm really into any era that's not right now. So like I love Betty Page. I love Twiggy, Cyndi Lauper,
Twiggy, awesome.
90s Madonna.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah,
like you
Oh,
know
Madonna.
Alice Glass. I'm into like cool, strong, sexy, powerful women.
powerful women.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Sigourney
all.
Weaver and Aliens.
Get
Yeah.
away from my daughter, you bitch.
Woman power.
That's right.
Yeah.
Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Benatar,
Really,
there you go.
you know, the Runaways. I love.
Oh.
Part of the reason that I love doing drag is that I love women, and I think that women need to be recognized for all of the awesome and wonderful things they've done through history.
Very true.
You know,
Woman
and it's like,
power.
you know,
Like
Intuitive
give birth
power.
to every one of us.
Remember,
I
God
know,
is
pop
a
this all
woman.
into this world.
you know,
God
I'm
is a
every
woman.
It's all in me.
Yeah, but has it given has drag given you, has it changed you in a way, made you more confident, or what when you're a man, how do you feel different?
I don't know if I feel like Scarlett Letters is more like the hyper version of my boy self. Like she's me with no flaws. Like
or with acceptable flaws.
She's always patient and kind. Like that. That's something that I feel like, being uncomfortable with my testicles pushed into my body really cuts down on my ability to be nasty and crude to people. like my ability to receive negativity is really reduced by this. So I just try as hard as I can to be nice all the time.
Yeah.
But definitely, it changes the way that you look at, I think, the way men and women interact with the world and the space that men and women are allowed to occupy.
Yeah.
And sort of the things that society, knowingly or unknowingly, allows or doesn't allow women and men to do.
True.
Yeah, the thing that I really like about is that yes, you are a drag queen, but your stereotypical drag queen is kind of a diva, kind of RuPaul's Drag Race kind of thing. But you have this sort of natural
I think,
sexiness and curiosity about people. I don't know.
Well, I think some people. I read this great tweet from RuPaul. Speaking of, and he said that drag can't create a character; it can only show you who you really are.
It's like the mask.
And it's I feel like some people like to have a bitchy drag character because that's their character, but I feel like pretending to be a bitch is a bitch's game, and making a character to be bitchy is just an excuse to be bitchy. And there's so many bitchy queens. I'm just
no time for that.
I'm a man in a dress.
No,
not to me.
It's at the end of the day, I take my balls out of my pantyhose, just like all the other girls.
all the other queens.
And so, it's I feel like I try to keep that in mind to keep my attitude in check.
Yes.
It's even though, maybe the guy who sent you an email after the show off was like, man, that girl was such a diva, fierce, sickening.
I just thought you were a lady.
At the end of the day, I just want to go home and eat Taco Bell.
Doesn't that make you sad, when people love your female side, but they don't want to know your male side? That upsets me. Does it upset you?
Not at all. Really,
no one loves your female side.
I love your
well,
female
they're
side.
not interested.
I love all your female sides.
Thank you.
You
haven't met Uncle Mark.
Don't bring Uncle Mark into this.
See, the truth is that as a boy, I am much more awkward than I am a Scarlett Letters. Something about being this character, something about the character allows me to be much more comfortable around strangers. I don't like going to the club as a boy. I don't have clothes to go to the club as a boy. I
know what you mean.
I stand there for 5 minutes, then I get hot and uncomfortable and want to leave. But if I'm going in drag, then I took time, I got ready, I do a show, people give me money. There's a reason to go out.
Woohoo! Yeah, that's me.
Well, I was gonna say that's interesting because I've heard so many other queens say the exact same thing.
I'm the truth is that as a boy, I'm super lame. All of the interesting things about me
I don't
have
think
been
so I'm
compartmentalized.
sure exactly, but I think that by giving the
personality.
freedom of being in that personality, you get to let your true personality reflect outwardly that way without any of the insecurities that you've accrued as being your boy personality.
And people are so much nicer to you as a cute girl than they are as an average
God.
boy.
Good Lord, this is like a repeat.
I know. I know. And here's the danger. You've been doing this for only about 6 months or something?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, here's the danger. People said to me, somebody asked me, are you full-time, Maria? And I said, no, I'm not. But then I realized, socially, I am.
Well, I
don't want to go out as a boy. I want to go to the supermarket as a boy, but I'm not going to
I like,
It's a slippery slope.
It depends on what I'm doing. I don't like going, out to bar. I don't, I'm like I mentioned, I'm lame and awkward. I don't like to drink. I don't like being around large groups of people. Talking to strangers makes me break out in hives. So it's something about the layers of makeup and hair. It's really my armor against
it's a
the negative perceptions of the world.
It's your superhero.
It's a superhero. When I walk into a club as a woman, it's I am here.
It's true.
When I walk in as a boy,
she
it's
literally does that.
I know.
And that imaginary sword again.
Then when I walk in as a boy, it's oh my God, they're going to ignore me now. Yeah.
Well, Scarlett, tell everybody if they want to reach you, what's the best way to get in contact with you? And do you have any plans coming up in the future? And where can we see you?
Oh, wow. Well, I've been trying to get a little more into the scene and try to drum up some shows for myself. I'm looking to start showing regularly at Sticky Wednesdays at the cafe.
There you
with
go.
the other
You can
sensual.
rule that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, girl, you are definitely unique in this
You're
town.
in at that.
Yeah.
Show.
This town
Let me
better
tell you.
get ready.
We were there on
Precise.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
You could do that. I mean, yeah, because they don't have They're a little bit more serious there, and I think you could do your sort of more comedic sort of extreme thing.
you know,
It could be really, but Effie did it the other night.
You know,
so.
I'm sexy and funny.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're like
so,
you have a
and how can
new-
people reach you?
You can reach me on my Facebook profile, Scarlett Letters. That's Scarlett with 2 T's, letter with 2 T's. I like symmetry.
There you go. It all matches up. So thank you, Scarlett Letters, for coming. It's so great. And we'll see you soon.
See more
And
Scarlett.
enjoy
All right.
this.